Hello friends, vintage camera aficionados, people that normally don't watch tarot. You know, my channel is mainly tarot, but I also talk about some of the vintage cameras I have and ones I find. And actually, we'll be talking about some Kodak vintage cameras that I don't own and that I have access to in the future, so that's kind of exciting. So this is a Zeiss Ikon German-made Tenax Automatic. There was the Tenax 1, the Tenax 2, and then the Tenax Automatic with the selenium light meter. So here we have it. I'm missing the long strap. These things, of course, were notorious for dry rot. And I'm going to go ahead and open this little bastard up. Here on the back, it says Zeiss Ikon AG 207524, made in Germany. And I'm going to unscrew the bottom knob to get this camera out. You are in there. Good. Come on. There we go. Slide her out. So if you notice, it is it has a little notch there, as well as that goes right into the mount for the tripod, and then it goes there. There's a little hole there, and that hole corresponds to not much, just where if you look on the bottom of the camera, it's just where the little winder mechanism is. But it's this red velour. There's also a little elastic strap here. And this is that quick carrying case in leather. It's in pretty good shape. Sometimes these middle pieces pop out, or they fall out, or they peel off. And if I'm looking for one, I always look for one that has this intact. I like intact ones. So let's look at this crazy automatic camera. Here we go. So this is it. It is heavy. It's quite heavy, actually. It has to weigh at least a pound. But it is a beautiful piece of German engineering, which I'm a huge fan of. Let's look at the back. We have a manual, let me not forget what type of film I put in the camera dial, which has absolutely no mechanical thing. It just turns. And then we have the number on here. This is Z5917. And then we have the viewfinder, which is actually quite beautiful. It looks like a little TV screen in the front. And I really like that effect. And we have the winder, which is just one cock. There's also a little rubber piece that sticks out, which kind of helps it from clacking. Kind of cool. We have a cold shoe here. We have the Promptor flash, little connector thing there. And we have where we would change the film speed. And it's an ASA. So there's ASA and DIN, and that's a little equivalent to what you would put in there. This is a 35mm camera, so you just throw it in there. So for 35mm, we could use, let's see, it's ASA up to 320, DIN up to 27. So what would I put in here? Probably no more than 100 speed film, to be honest, to get some decent results. But of course, that's your preference. Here we have a manual little dial that you can turn, and it's around the shutter. You could put a remote shutter in there, screw it in there, but this is where the shutter, you depress it and it releases. But this little dial here, you can reset it, and there's the little arrow there, so it can. There's if you have 20 exposure, you put it where the little diamond is. If you have 30 exposure, that's where you put the 36 exposure. That's where you put you set it, and then every time you cock the shutter, you want it to get to 36. Of course, most modern is 36. So you can just manually click it and reset it, and it just moves every time you take a picture. This is like a plasticized fabric you know, the normal thing, not leather on the outside. The light meter, I believe, is in here where most of it's in. That's why that grill is there, but I love that Tenax font. Very funky, very cool. This has a Tessar 2.8 50mm lens by Carl Zeiss, and right here the number is 3235565. And one thing it had been a while since I picked up this camera. I have technically not used this to take pictures. I'm not sure if I want to. It's a little, I don't know. It's just a collectible thing, but it's in perfectly working order. I have no qualms with it. I mean, the auto feature doesn't work because I believe the selenium meter is right here, and as you change the ASA of the film, it actually moves that around and shows you the ideal exposure. That little orange thing moves, and you can turn it, and you see the orange moves. So right now it is not in auto mode. I'm going to move this around. So when these are outlined in green, so we have a little A there and there. And it took me a while to realize that if you have not cocked it to take a picture, you cannot take it out of auto mode. So you need to cock it to take it out of this auto mode so you can actually turn it. And you may have to depress this little safety mechanism there, the little thing, and then you can turn it. Because by default you have portrait, group, and then landscape, which is the typical, it's almost like a Lomo symbol, or Smina film, a Smina camera. And then we have in the middle where you would turn it. So we have the little dial there, but when we put it in manual mode, we can actually, if we look at the bottom, we have in feet 3.5, 4, 5, 7, 10, 20, and infinity there. And then underneath, we actually have the shutter speed there. So we have 2.8, 4, 5.6, 8. Oh, that's the aperture. Yeah, the aperture is written there. And as you move it, it actually moves the shutter speed. So it goes up to 200. So it's 35, 80, 75, 100, and then 200ths of a second. But since my selenium meter is very weak, which selenium does degrade, I'm not going to put this in auto mode because it won't let you take a picture unless it is within that range. So if I take it out of auto mode and I just manually say, if I set it to like infinity, like I'm going to take pictures, here's the aperture. As it goes up to 22, it goes down to 2.84, 5.6, 8, 11, 16, and 22 as far as the aperture goes. As you change that aperture, it changes the thing and it gives you a little bulb reactor little thing. There is a bulb mode here, which you can throw it in. So you have flash and bulb. It's kind of nice. And then, so once you've cocked it, I'm going to actually open this little baby up. Beautiful, clean inside. This you just slip the film in there, you roll it around the little gears, very typical. When you're ready to take a picture, you just go push that. There we go. A little stiff. And then it has a leaf shutter. So there's the inside. We have a little plate, a little roller, slides across there, leaf shutter, cogs. There's the little bumper thing that's built in to kind of stop it from hitting the metal, which is very nice. Nice German engineering. And here on the bottom, this is what's really cool. I like this, the bottom of this. So to rewind the film, you have to push that button, which puts it in rewind mode. You have this lovely little thing that pops out. It tells you the arrow, and you rewind your film until you feel it stop. You'll feel it kind of clicking in the body, go click, click, click. And you put that back, that pops back out. So it's like a one you push this to be able to rewind. It releases the cogs, rewind it, and then when you put it in, it's ready to take another roll of film, which is very nice. But anyway, this is the Zeiss Ikon Tenax, made in Germany, and I believe this was made around 1958, 59, no more than later than 60. It's kind of hard to find the date. If anybody knows the date or can figure it out, that would be great. It's kind of hard to find. Everything I've looked at, I can't find the date. I'm sure it's somewhere, I just maybe haven't looked hard enough. I'm going to put this back in auto mode, even though it doesn't work. Let's see. Does my meter even react? Let's see if my meter reacts. I'm going to turn on my phone. Use the LED flashlight. See if we get some reaction. I'm not getting any movement from the little needle, so I'm not even sure what the needle looks like. So what I found about this camera, this lovely little beautiful piece of German equipment, 1960, Zeiss Ikon Stuttgart reused the Tenax name on a small viewfinder camera named Tenax Automatic. Automatic exposure driven by a selenium meter with a manual override to set up the aperture for flash. The Prontormat S shutter had flash sync by a PC socket hidden under the rotating cover on the top plate. Rotating cover on the top plate? This is the bottom. There's that. Oh, I may have, okay. There may have been, I think, a plastic cap that covered that. I have seen that in some, even though this picture here doesn't show that. It had a fixed 50mm 2.8 Tessar lens marked with focus zones on the top and distance scale underneath. Its Zeiss code number was 10.0651. And then the manual is, of course, on, you can find the manual online. But anyway, I thought I'd share this with you. This camera is very cute, but it's heavy as hell. Anyway, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. More cameras to come soon, I promise.